Jorana. Najprawdopodobniej tak mówi się to cześć tutaj polinezyjskie. Proszę się nie śmiać, tak będę dzisiaj chodził, bo mam oparzony kark i nie chcę, żeby mi go jeszcze bardziej oparzyło. Tymczasem plan na dzisiaj jest taki, że idziemy trochę poznać historię Papiti i też głównej wyspy Tahiti. Najprawdopodobniej dowiemy się kilku ciekawych rzeczy, a później wybierzemy kolejne miejsca do eksplorowania. Na razie. No ale widzę, że Polinezyjczycy to potrafią jeździć faktycznie. Biorą i na przykład jak jedziesz sobie swoim pasem, to gości się na bezczela wpycha na twój pas i jak nie zwolnisz, no to pieprzniesz w niego, nie? No świetne zagrywki. Powodzenia, a tak w ogóle tu dojechaliśmy. No według mnie jak zostawimy dwa takie świstki, jeden na 2 godziny, a drugi na 40, to sumuje się to i będziemy mieli 2,40. Przynajmniej taką mam nadzieję. Bo na więcej niż 2 godziny się nie da kupić, więc trzeba sobie radzić.
This one, if you would like to smell it, it's actually the tiare flower.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the typical scent. It's one of the symbol of Tahiti, of Polynesia in general, and it's called tiare, which means flower in Tahitian. So when you say flower of tiare, you're saying flower of flower, literally. Fishtail and cognac.
Fishtail.
Cognac, very common here. It's a regular flower. In the street you can find this type of flower. In the forest as well, it's very, very common here. So actually it's the regular size is bigger and you have a flower at the top. And 6 months a year, so half of the year you press it and you can wash your hair with several names, you know. It's torch flower and porcelain rose. And this one actually is edible. It's ginger. We have a lot of ginger flower here in common, as well as with this one. A luxury product actually, but this one is specific because I don't know if you know how to make a pearl. So actually we placed a bowl, so it's mother of pearl inside a specific place in the oyster. Okay, it's from Mississippi, by the way, so because the DNA is really close. Don't ask me why, but that's yeah. And this is when actually it's been rejected, the oyster, and so it can be created around a piece of coral, for instance, or a little parasite, you know. And so it's actually a self-defense process, which means to defend against the intruder. The oyster, of course, they don't have any legs or arms, so they surround the enemy, the intruder, with this material, so the mother of pearls. So this one is a case is very specific and very actually it's getting more and more popular with time. And I will show you a second type, really specific type of pearls as well, with P, not with a P, because you have the mappe, I'll show you later, this one with a P. And actually it can be natural like this one, or sometimes they put on purpose a specific shape, like a heart or I don't know, star, whatever, and they just cut around. So same process to protect itself. The oyster will create, will surround this enemy, this intruder, with the mother of pearl, so this material. And after that, they just cut around, and they make either, you know, nice earrings, or what else, you can have rings, like this one here, or pendants, things like that. Okay, so that's another type of pearl. It's the keishi and the mabe as well. So you can have, for example, ilang ilang, you can have coconut, you have whatever, jasmine, things like that. You have plenty, but this one is the original one, and this one is actually made of coconut oil. And inside you can see the flower you just smelled. Tiare, gardenia, or frangipani. You have several names for this. And actually for this product is very typical, very one of the most known cosmetics of Polynesia. And we use it on the skin, on the hair, for massages as well. You can put a few drops in your bath, and last but not least, you can also use it on your pearls if you have some. So this one is less known, so you can take a tiny amount of this oil and rub on your pearls slightly, so just once a year. And after that you remove the excess with a soft cloth, and that's it. It's going to deeply hydrate your pearl. Alright. One is the Mon oil, like I said. Tamanu oil. So you can see the nuts. So this one is very different. Antioxidant, antibacterial. You can use it on scars. On what else? Insect bites, like I said, on acne, for many uses, as you can see. And this one, actually, it's interesting because the trees of this nut, you know, from where we extract the nut, the oil, is actually sacred, which means you can't cut it. I have some in my garden, forbidden for me to cut it. And also, in the past, not anymore, they were using this wood to create, you know, the boats, actually. Yes, these boats. Tamanu. Vanilla. So, like I said, it's a luxury product as well. That's why you may find it really expensive. And most of the production is from, it's made in Taha, which is the Vanilla Island. Maybe have you visited Taha or no? Yes. Okay. And this one is the nickname is Vanilla Island. It's a very small production, so that's why it's very expensive. And as you can smell it through the plastic, it's really intense, which make an ingredient really appreciated by the chef. Well, you have a dish. It's called mahi mahi, so that's the name of the fish. This vanilla sauce.
Okay.
Sometimes are really ready to spend, you know, a fortune to buy a very beautiful hat, like I said. And this type of bags, it's actually something like 2 days to make it. But like I said, yeah, here, so you don't only have tourists, you have a lot of local people. And that's why we know where to buy the good stuff. Because here everything is made either here or it's local. There's nothing from China or whatever.
No jak nie jestem fanem torebek, to te zdecydowanie są po prostu urocze. Weronika, co powiesz?
Super, mega.
Chcesz taką jedną?
Nie, bransoletkę z perłami.
Okej.
Outfit for the dance, the Ori dance, and we don't really use this type of outfit anymore. It's much more with fabric, leather, or feathers a lot. But this one shows you the type of used in the past. The Ori dance, actually, you have Heiva. So Heiva, it's finished now, but maybe you heard about this festival over there. It's very popular here, and it's actually one of the oldest festivals in the world, and it's showcasing the very best of the Polynesian culture. Because, for example, you have dancing and singing competitions, but not only these. You also have traditional sports like lifting heavy stones, or you have a coconut really high on a wooden stage. The Heiva, so you have a stage in Papeete, big stage, and actually it's the main one, but you have in every town hall, in a lot of different places. I can show you tonight, there's something going on for a few days in Venice Point, so opposite side of the island, and it's very beautiful. And you have professional dancers coming, so it's like, so Ori dance means dance as well. So once again, if you say dance, Ori dance, it means dance of dance.
Okay.
Yeah, so sometimes this type you have either plastron, it's named in French, and something it can be, a decoration like
On bed.
Yes, yeah, for the dance it can be the typical outfit, so you have the hats, you can also have the skirt, let's say, and you have different accessories, like for the hands, for example, it can happen, so you have different type of elements. And sometimes you have beautiful, like this one, so it can be different things, it can be decoration, so it can be many different things. So we are here right now, and actually the most, the pearl of the best quality are from the Gambier here. So you probably heard about the black pearl of Tahiti,
Yes.
which is misleading to me, because actually you can see clearly that also, of course, you have the very dark ones, but you can also find white ones, pastel ones like this, and in between you have such a wide variety of colors, like the purple, the green, the turquoise. Sometimes, as you can see here, all together on the same row, which means purple, turquoise, and green.
Oh, is it more expensive when it's
Not really.
with colors?
No, it doesn't have a main impact on the price. And this type of shade is called the peacock. Peacock after the animal, you know. And it's
Okay.
one of the most popular colors, as you can imagine. And so do you have any idea of what makes the value of a pearl? The type of criteria?
How long they growing? Or
It takes a long time, sometimes
Yeah.
up to 10 years just for one pearl.
Okay.
And actually, so you have the size.
That.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No, not only. It's just one of the criteria.
Okay.
So size actually, so you remember they placed the tiny ball in the specific area. It's like surgery. It's really delicate, and the person doing the grafting is the most important on the whole pearl farm.
Okay.
If you don't have a skilled person for this task,
That's
you can,
gone.
your company is condemned in advance. You know,
right.
it's gonna fail. And actually, so after a few years, so you leave it inside, and the oyster do its work. So it's recovered, you know, with this material, mother of pearls. And after a few years, sometimes for the bigger ones, they extract the pearls from the first oyster and they place it in the second oyster. So you have sometimes different oysters, several oysters involved. And also the second criteria is the imperfections. So you can have, if you have no or just a few imperfections, it's called the inclusions. The price is going to be bigger. And after that, you have the shape. The shape. So the most expensive ones are the round one and semi-round. Sometimes with your bare eyes, you can't make the difference because you need to be really experienced actually. And one of the most important criteria is actually the luster, so the shine of the pearl, and it's directly related of the quality of the water. Which means if you have too many movements in the water or if you have too many pollutions, the oyster don't like it and you are going to have a weak luster. So all of these criteria makes the value of a pearl. And it's really expensive because once again it's very unique for the color, it's known for the colors. And sometimes, you know, even with, so you may be surprised to find strands like this with the cheapest shape of pearls, which are one with the circle or baroque shape, so let's say 11 type of shape of pearl. You can find strands like this of thousands of dollars, of euros. So don't be surprised. But what I always recommend you to do is to ask for the duty-free. Because duty-free you can have on the pearls, on items like these too, can you see? With the mother of pearls, like on the turtle for example, on these kinds, you know, you have daisies, you have, what else? So mother of pearls items, and sometimes on items like this, so not on the marketplace, but in specific boutiques, you can ask for the duty-free. Something like 16% off. You can see the beautiful turtle.
Yes.
So it's a base of plaster, and after
Okay.
that they just cut the oyster and glue it on it. Cut again and again, and after that polished and everything. So slightly, of course, because you don't want to scratch it, but they know what they do. And sometimes you can see that they are, you know, engraving on it directly, and it's all inlaid. But what I mean is, always ask just in case for the duty free.
Just want to check the price.
The prices are really nice too.
Okay. Dobrze, czyli jeszcze się dowiedzieliśmy, że głównym źródłem oczywiście teraz zysków na Tahiti jest turystyka, ale wcześniej, zanim turystyka była tak powszechna jak teraz, pierwsze co zostało odnalezione to perły i przypominało to gorączkę złota, tylko w tym przypadku gorączkę pereł w 1961 roku i to Japończycy pierwsi wymyślili sposób jakby hodowania i obrabiania tych pereł i później dopiero przyszło to tutaj, także taka tylko wzmianka.
We have 118 islands in total, spread on a territory as vast as Europe. As you can see, it's very wide. But if you glued all the islands together, it would be as big as London and Paris combined. So at the end, very, very small, right?
Yes.
Yes. And so you can see that we have different archipelagos. So we are on the Society Islands right now. We also have the Tuamotu, Marquesas Islands here, Gambier and Austral Islands. And so the main language, the official language is French. But as you can imagine, they have a lot of different language. So here we speak the Reo Maohi, that's the Tahitian. If you're from New Zealand, you can recognize a lot of words actually. And so of course you have many different languages, like I said, and all of them, they have their own language. And for example, for the Tuamotu Islands, they speak the Paumotu, and they have not less than 7 dialects. So if you want to learn a local language, good luck. Because even with the Reo Maohi, if you're asking for a translation to local people, they have their family, type of dialect as well, which makes sometimes very complicated, even for just one language. So the Reo Maohi, I asked some of my friends a translation for a sentence, and I have different versions. So Tahiti Island, as you can see, you have 2 main islands. So Tahiti Nui, which means big in Tahitian. Oh, thank you. And Tahiti Iti, which means small in Tahitian too. And it's 2 extinct volcanoes. So this one is 3 million years old, and this one is a bit younger, is 500,000 years old. And in between you have the Isthmus of Travao, which is actually a pretty big piece of land. It's not like just a bridge, it's actually pretty wide. And it's nicknamed the second city center, because you have a Papeete, as you can see, very active, very noisy. And here it's like the second most important urban zone, let's say, here in Travao. Okay? And so, like I said, you have the main road behind us. People are coming from the nearby cities to work in Papeete, because here actually you have a lot of boutiques, shops, etc., but also a lot of administration. So that's why so many people during the morning you have traffic jam in this way, and opposite way, in the afternoon, and sometimes even in between. Well, a few months ago the road was blocked. So imagine if you wanted to do that, you needed to do all the way around. It was just open for a tiny period of the day, so complicated.
It's like driving around the island.
It's not that big actually. To give you an idea, from here to here, it's about an hour and a half. So if you do the whole tour, I would say maybe 3 hours maybe. Actually, we start counting the kilometers. I'll show you from PK0. So it's 120 kilometers from the main island. Here you have 18 kilometers. You can't go any further. And here you have 19 kilometers. Same, the road stops here. So if you want to access this part of the island, you need to take a boat to access this part. Really wild and very beautiful. And remember the Olympic Games? It's actually here. And it's going to be in a few days for the surfing competition. So it's going to be huge. And actually the specificity of Tahiti is the fact that you have 2 types of beach. So here on the east coast, you have dark sand beach, beaches with volcanic sand. And here, globally, you have a few exceptions, you have white sand beach with turquoise water, lagoon type of water, Actually related to the coral barrier of coral, because it's intermittent. For example, Moorea, so Easter Island, you can see from here, behind, you can see the top of the mountain.
Okay.
It's really close, right? It's surrounded by a coral barrier. That's why you have a lagoon all around. But here it's intermittent. And when it's not protected, then we have big waves, and here it's very agitated, which is perfect, for the surf.
Yeah.
And of course here. And actually you also have a road crossing the island. It's a 4x4 safari. So you did this one. Oh no, you haven't maybe. So it's actually something you can do, and it's in the Papeno Valley. So it takes about 8 hours, for the whole activity.
Okay.
And it's really beautiful inside. No one lives inside, practically no one lives inside the island, which was not the case before. Before, the Polynesians preferred to live inland, inside the land. It was considered as unsafe to live close to the coastline, actually.
Okay.
Yes. All right. So this is the Bougainville Park. It's named after this captain. So you can see the whole name is Louis-Antoine de Bougainville. So that's the whole name. And actually, that's the second European we came here to Tahiti. So let me show you on the map. So they didn't come via Papeete here. They came here, Venice Point, actually. And so Papeete, it's been developed since the first half of the 19th century. But the first, like I said, Europeans, they came here, Matavai Bay. And so that's the second explorer. So maybe if you don't know this captain, you know the flower of Bougainvillea. Do you know? It's very common flower. You don't know this one? No? Never mind. And actually this flower, it's you can find it in many different places. It's been named after this guy. So it's been discovered by a French botanist in the 70s, 60s in Brazil. And to honor his friend, so the botanist was named Commerson, and he named this beautiful flower in honor of his friend Bougainvillea after this guy. So this guy wasn't the best captain actually, but he wrote a lot about the beautiful landscapes, the beautiful ladies here in Polynesia. And when he came back in Europe, he described, it's thanks to him, it was like tourist office for us, you know, because he gave this idea of tropical paradise. So it was a good advertisement for us. Before this one, we actually have Samuel Wallis in 1767. So same, he came by this bay, Matavai Bay, and you have the Venus Point. So you have Samuel Wallis in 1767, then Captain Bougainville. After that, Captain Cook. So Captain Cook actually he came in several times, yes. And one of the reasons for this, he came to observe the passage of Venus in front of the sun, and that's why it's called Venus Point here. Actually, you have a lighthouse, still in use nowadays, by the way. And Captain Cook, we owe him the map of Polynesian islands. So he was a scientist, and all the time he was really precise, really, methodic, and he took a lot of, he described a lot what he saw, which is very useful for us, because once again, the Polynesian, it was just an oral transmission, which means you can find several versions for the meaning of a tattoo, several versions of a legend, of an history, things like that. And when the Europeans came, so you will see later that it's not always for the good. Yeah, exactly. But they did something good. They described, like I said, a lot, and especially Captain Cook. After Captain Cook, you have Captain Bligh. Maybe you saw one of the movie, A Mutiny of the Bounty. He came here to collect, the breadfruit trees to feed the slave in the British Antilles, so British slaves, let's say. And you have this mutiny. So actually you have 3 movies, so based on real facts. And you have one with Clark Gable, one with Marlon Brando, which I remember, and one with Mel Gibson and Anthony Hopkins, sorry. Have you seen one of them maybe? Yeah. Okay. And actually it's much more complicated than what you can see in the movie. In the movie it's really easy. It's because Captain Bligh takes unpopular decisions, and that leads to this mutiny. In reality you have much more elements explaining this mutiny. And after that you have the missionaries. And all of these explorers, they came between 1767 to 1797. So just in 30 years, it was enough to totally change the face of French Polynesia forever. Because first of all, we lost 99% of our culture. Because, for example, dancing was forbidden. Singing traditional song and traditional dance, of course, forbidden. Believing in your God, of course, forbidden. Wearing tattoos, wearing flower crowns, so everything that makes the Polynesian culture was forbidden. So, yeah. And last but not least, we lost 90% of the population. 90% of the population.
Because of
disease.
Because of disease.
Yes. Because it was brand new for them here, for the local population, and they didn't have the right antibodies. So 90% of the population gone. So it was terrible. Yeah. And so they came, it was almost British here, but I will tell you more after that. This one is from La Zélée, which is a French vessel. And it's not really known that during the First World War, very early, so in 1914, we've been bombed here. So Papeete, we are in the middle of nowhere, and we've been bombed. And it was a bad idea.
By who?
Germans.
But Germans.
Oh, even in the middle of nowhere, they came here to bomb us. But it was a bad idea, because actually after that, 1,200 young Polynesians decided to volunteer to go to help the French army to fight against the enemy.
Okay.
So this is the beginning of Paufei Park, and actually it's in honor of the victim of the nuclear testings. because here in Polynesia we have 193 testings. Let me show you on the map. In these two islands, Mururoa and Whangatofa. Here,
Okay.
the Gambia Islands. So, and
yeah.
it was between 1996 and 96. So 66, sorry, and 96. So for 30 years. And there was a lot of nuclear testings. And surprisingly, local people were pretty much pro. Because, yeah, that's surprising, but actually they were pro because, first of all, the French state gave a lot of money to French Polynesia. It was supposed to last only 10 years, but they extended a lot again and again. So, and thanks to this money, let's say, they developed a lot the infrastructure, sorry, like road, hospitals, things like that. And also, they were pro because the French state told the local population it was safe. It was absolutely safe for the nuclear testings. Now we know that it's not the case, right?
Yeah,
and I will show
exactly.
you a bit later someone who was against it in the 60s, you know, Puvana Aopa. I'll show you this guy because it's a key figure here in French Polynesia, Puvana Aopa. But yes, so in this monument, actually, in front you can see the 5 stones representing the 5 archipelagos. And in the park, if you go a bit further, if you have time, you will see the list of all the victims.
No to takie statki budowali Polinezyjczycy nie tylko w czasach swojej wielkiej migracji po Pacyfiku, ale i w późniejszych czasach. I zupełnie bez żadnych nawigacyjnych, technologicznych cudów dawali radę poruszać się po tutejszych wodach.
Alright, so Puvana Aopa, this person, you know, is really important. And actually, so like I said, it was against Polynesia to be a part of the French Republic, so inside a part of France, you know, it was against. So it was an anti-colonialist, the leader of an anti-colonialist party. And actually, like I said, it was against the nuclear testings. So back then, remember, practically most of the local people were pro, because once again, it brings a lot of money, and because the French state told the local people it was safe for the nuclear testings, but this guy was against. So as you can imagine, the French state didn't like him, the French government didn't like him at all. So they decided to trap him and to place under his bed actually material to commit a crime, so to burn the city of Papeete, to be more precise. And so they called the police, and this guy has been jailed for 8 years in France, and it's only after 15 years that he could come back here in French Polynesia. And when he came back here, he was welcomed as a hero, and he was nicknamed the father of the nation. And he fought the rest of his life for the truth to be revealed, you know, because it was a total injustice, you know, what happened. And it's only about 7 years old under François Hollande, so one of the French presidents, who came here and rehabilitate his name. So, and with him, all the French Polynesians felt rehabilitated as well. But yeah, he's a really important figure, so you can find avenue with his name, etc. So it was a really important person here. Had a lot more people living inside because it was considered as unsafe to live close to the coastline.
Yeah.
And to communicate between the different valleys, they were actually beating the roots of this tree. And the resonance was so high that they could communicate between the different valleys. And even if you were on a boat, you could hear the resonance of this tree. It's really, really powerful, you know. It's like a Morse code, but the tropical version, you know.
But just by stick?
Beating, yeah. It can be
Beating by the
stick
stick?
or with stone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so actually I can't do it because otherwise they will kick me out to show you. But if you're in nature and if you find similar trees, which is really common here, you can try and actually you can hear it.
Dobrze, i w tym miejscu spotykają się czasami prezydent Francji i prezydent Polinezji i sobie tutaj po prostu zbijają piątkę i coś tam sobie rozmawiają o rzeczach, no i później idą dalej. Wydaje mi się, że to jest coś jak Murena, ale możliwe, że inaczej.
Sometimes they are hidden and they just want to come if you feed them.
Okej.
But you're lucky today.
Is it dangerous fish
I
or?
swam with some of them that have white eyes,
Uh-huh.
when I swam with, and it's really mesmerizing because they look like they are blind, you know, and plus they're really slow and very sociable actually, but not.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Most of the time they eat tuna.
Oh,
Sometimes I try with sardine and they like it too.
okay.
Tuna for the guys, most of the time they are grabbing a can of tuna, see them eating. Please remember, so the explorer came through this bay, Matavai Bay, with Venus Point here. And when Cook came here, Captain Cook, he met the local chief, okay? And it's the future Pomare the First, all right? So actually, when he came here, he met this guy and he thought he was the chief of the whole island, whereas it was only the chief of the local area. Because actually, can you see the different zones?
Yeah.
So it's now the new cities. The cities that we know actually. So Papara, Paia, Fa'a, Papete, etc. But in the past, it was corresponding to the different zones for the different chiefs, because you have a lot of different chiefs. And so when he met this guy, the future Pomare the First, he thought it was the chief of the whole island, whereas, like I said, it was only the chief of this area. And actually, what happened is he received a lot of gifts from the Europeans, including weapons. And thanks to this, so he told the Europeans told him a lot of war techniques as well. And to make it simple, because once again you have a lot of elements, thanks to the help of the Europeans, he managed to be the chief of the whole island. And after that, you have the beginning of a dynasty, the Pomare dynasty. So you have Pomare the Second. So Pomare the Second, so Pomare the First, Pomare the Second, and Pomare the Second translated the Bible into a local language with the help of a missionary, and he distributed, the Bible in the different islands. So thanks to that, it spread, the religious, the Occidental, religion to the different islands. After that, you have Pomare the Third, and this king actually has been crowned at age 18 months, so practically not a baby, but a toddler, let's say. But unfortunately, he died when he was 7, so really young.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was actually his big sister, so the future Queen Pomare IV, so this lady, was put on the throne at age 14. So she was really young too, very rebel, white girl. And she was crowned at age 14 in 1827. And it's really interesting to see the evolution of this queen from a rebel lady and very, how can I say, free and wild, to a popular lady and self-confident lady. So at the end, she was a queen for 50 years until her death in 1877. So for 50 years.
Okay.
And so she was pro-British. Remember, I told you it was almost British here. So they came with the Protestantism at first. But to make it simple once again, because you have a lot of elements, they gave up, so the British, they gave up from New Zealand because they were too busy with New Zealand and Australia. And after that you have a battle with the French and the Tahitian. And the French won. So that's why with time it has become French. But this lady, so she was converted to the Protestantism and she was pro-British. But when they left, let's say in a nutshell, the British left, she had to deal with the French people too, and you had a lot of conflicts. It was really tricky, really complicated with them at first, but with time, and she was forced to deal with the French people. And she was a really popular queen because she did a lot for the country. She developed the hospital, education, etc. So she did a lot for the country. But unfortunately for her, all of these kids, so most of them, they died at a very young age, first of all. And his son, remember the one who was supposed to protect Paul Gauguin, so King Pomare V, he was not interested at all into politics. And he gave up all the power to the French state, first of all, and he has no official heir.
and that's why it was the end of the dynasty with his son, Pomare V, actually. And so you had a different branch of this family in Bora Bora, etc. But the main branch, let's say, globally has been extinct with his son, Pomare V. And actually, so Papeete, the name of Papeete comes from here, because they were coming here, the people, with their basket to take some water. And Papeete means water basket. So Pape means water and Ete means basket. And you also have a variation with Vai Ete. So Vai, it's the current name for water. You can see it, Vaiete place, Vai, so it means water. And so actually, originally they came with their basket to take the water where the queen were bathing, here in this place. And her palace is here anymore, it's been destroyed. But I'll show you later a replica of this building. Years, in average, with their families, and after that they leave. And so that's why it's same for the teachers. It can be 4 years or 2 years, whatever, but in average 3 years, and then they change. So you have a renewal of the population very, very often. And so in French Polynesia in general, you have about slightly more than 300,000 people, and 75% of us lives here in Tahiti and in Moorea. So 75%, that's huge.
Yeah, that's huge.
And in these 300,000 people, we have 78% of Polynesians, so they can be mixed with, I don't know, Hawaiian or Europeans, etc., but 78%. Then you have 12% of Europeans and 10% of Chinese, of people with a Chinese background. Because actually, Chinese workers came here to work in the cotton industry, but when the cotton has become too expensive and the industry failed, most of the Chinese workers came back home, but some of them decided to stay and married local women. That's why you have a strong Chinese influence here. Cute, right? And most of the time, so this one is a bit damaged, but it's like a ball, half of a ball. And it looks cute, right? But, that's a but of course. So this one, it was used for many, many different things. So first of all, so we have pharmacies, all right? We have Occidental medicine, but we also have local medicines and Chinese medicine. It's really common here to use Chinese medicines too, because I will tell you more about the Chinese influence, but Chinese, so a lot of Chinese, and it reflects in the medicine as well. And for this one, in the past, it was used for to relieve the pain of the lady about to give birth. It's a strong pain reliever. So for ladies about to have their babies during labor, they give this plant actually to remove the pain. It was a pain reliever, yes. And second use of this plant actually, so they were using this time a piece of the root. They throw it in the water and makes the fish a bit dizzy, a bit sleepy.
Oh, really?
So it was easier for them for the fishermen to catch them and sometime up. Easy peasy. And the last use, actually, it's less funny for this one. For the last one, it's actually for human sacrifice, because we used to have human sacrifice in the past. And so here you need to know something, that the fact that the blood is tapu, T-A-P-U, which time has given the name taboo. And tapu means the blood was forbidden to touch the floor, okay? And so when they were sacrificing the people, so it can be your enemies, or a man, sorry, it was man most of the time, chosen from a low social category status, low status, you know. And when he was killed, it was actually, they broke the head, okay? And to prevent the blood from spilling too much, they were given this plant to slow down the heart rate. So when they break the head, it was spilling, but a lot less, yes. It's not finished. And have you heard about the mana?
No.
Mana is the vital energy, the astral energy. And it's believed for the Polynesians that the mana for the people is located in the people's head, and more specifically in the eyes. And so when they broke the head, they were eating the eyeballs to absorb their enemy's manas, or the person, the man. Bon appétit, good appetite.
Yeah, sounds delicious.
Yeah, it is. But surprisingly, it was an honor to be chosen, to be sacrificed.
Okay.
And the human sacrifice was made in these type of places, archaeological site. It's called mare. Mare. So you have plenty in the past, but now they all disappeared, or practically all of them, for several reasons. Because when the Europeans came, they actually reused the stones of these sites to build the churches, and they were directly placed on the same spot. So they literally replaced the old open air temple, you know. So that's why they replaced a lot. Because if you travel around the island, you will notice a lot of church, a lot. So it's actually in alternance most of the time. Protestant temple, Catholic church, Protestant temple, and you also have Mormon. So you have 35% of Catholic, 35% of Protestant, and 10% of Mormon.
Okay.
Sorry. Flower I gave you. So Bougainvillea. So it's of course one of the most popular sports here, the surfing. But also, and maybe even more popular than surfing, you have the Va'a. Va'a is actually canoes. So most of the time we have 6 people per boat. And you have a very famous race called the Avaiki Nui. This is the logo.
Yeah, this one.
Okay.
The Avaiki Nui is almost at
Oh, point
1 kilometer, and this is when we start counting the kilometers. DK0, and you have 60 kilometers. Thank you. From
Okay.
here and 60 from here for the main island. And you have a very famous beach here. It's called DK18, and it's 18 kilometers away from this point. So builders from Mangareva were really renowned back then, Mangareva. And for example, for the doors, they absolutely wanted authentic pieces. So this door has been built in Mangareva and other elements in the church. And so imagine it was very long trip,
Very long.
all the way back, and so it was a lot of. So for example, there was a first version in wood, all eaten by the termites.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And so this one is actually a survival because we had riots, survived through the bombing of Papeete, to tsunamis, so many different things. And so finally, 1875, it's been built, right? It was,
So after 20 years, right?
yes,
Like you said?
roughly 20 years.
Okay.
Yes, roughly 20 years. And actually, so it's a beautiful example because, like I said, this one is a survival because it talks about a lot of historical, events. And it's a beautiful testimony of architecture in the past. And it's very important element here, architecturally and symbolically speaking, here in Papeete. And you can see the doors closed. And do you know the reason for that? So in the past it was always open, but you maybe noticed that we have a lot of homeless people.
Okay.
And they come, especially they are from, COVID. So they came here, but we don't really have any structure to welcome them and to take care of them. So the priest of this church actually take care of them, cook for them, and at night it was open for them as a shelter. But one time, some of them came back drunk, and they attacked the school nearby.
Oh no.
So yes, and the priest went crazy and decided to kick them out. So now that's why it's only open for the girls. The rest of the time the doors are closed.
Okay.
Why? So it's
Tak.
Et combien tu mets de temps pour faire une couronne comme ça?
Quand c'est tressé, c'est plus long pour moi.
Ouais. Tu mets combien de
Moi,
temps?
j'ai l'habitude avec ça, 40 minutes.
40 minutes? 40 minutes to make one of these.
Oh. 40 minutes. Beautiful.
Voilà.
Merci beaucoup, Madoudou.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome you. And so it's closed now, but now you have all the parallels, the fabric. So here it's crazy expensive, but the fabric is really cheap. It's really cheap, the fabric. So if you're how to sew. So hotel, but it's not an hotel. Hotel
Alright.
de ville, it's a French word to talk about big town hall. It's most of the time for big cities like Paris or things like that, major city. So it's a neo-colonial style, and now you know the balustrade. Yeah, you saw them all the time here. It's very recognizable, and it's been created to celebrate the 100 anniversary of the creation of Papeete actually. So it's been inaugurated in 1990. Oh, we probably have a wedding. So it's been inaugurated by François Mitterrand, one of our former presidents, in 1990. And it was for the 100th anniversary of the creation of Papeete, the city of Papeete, which been created in 1890. Okay, and like I said, this building is actually a replica of the Queen's Pomare. So it's stronger, it's a bit more modern, but globally, it was in honor, of this building, Queen's Pomare Palace, which was, remember, instead of the assembly I showed you earlier. So let's come inside and I'll show you a very typical art. So this one, like I said, it's very typical because you can find flowers, of course. Remember the marketplace, I showed you the main ones. So you have a Fichtel heliconia, I don't want to touch it. Fichtel heliconia, you have ginger flower, you have of course the tiare flower. So what else do we have? So these are the main ones. You can see the ukulele, you can see the ladies of course, tiki here. And most of all, you can see these really bright colors, okay? It's always really colorful. If you like neutral colors here, it's not the right place for you. Because here it's always vibrant colors for the art, for the fabric, for pretty much everything. De Gaulle is one of the most important presidents that we have. Very, very popular, president, French president. And this, actually, it's the Lorraine Cross with the accent. And it's a symbol of Charles de Gaulle and also about resistance. And here in this text, he's thanking the Polynesians to be amongst the first one to be resistant during the Second World War. So, in a nutshell, he's thanking him to be amongst the first one, the best one, the dearest, etc. Because they were a part of France Libre against Vichy. And actually, so they were really avant-gardists because they named an avenue Charles de Gaulle even before the French people. So they were resistant even before the French people themselves, to tell you. And it's interesting because during the Second World War, so nothing much happened. But if you go there, if you have time, maybe. So you have a lighthouse here, remember? Venus Point. Yes. And actually, during the Second World War, they painted all the faces with coconut trees. Because in the background you have coconut tree field, and to make it invisible to the enemy, so they were expecting the Japanese to come, and they never came at the end. They painted this with coconut tree to make it invisible. But like I said, at the end, nothing really much happened here during the Second World War. Maruru, I hope that you enjoyed the tour. If you one day you come back here to Papeete in Tahiti, I will be more than happy to show you this beautiful city. And thank you again, and maybe we'll show you later. Maruru!
No, mam nadzieję, że się wycieczka podobała. Weronika, jak Ci się podobała wycieczka?
Super było.
No, było super. Dużo się dowiedzieliśmy, dużo ciekawych informacji. Paulin, tak, pani Paulin, ciekawie nam to wszystko opowiedziała. Teraz tylko to dobrze zmontować, żeby wyszło jakoś ładnie. Nic, jako że mam 9%, to nie będę się rozgadywać za bardzo. Chyba każdy widział i słyszał, jak to się prezentuje. To Tahiti, Papeete i wszystkie inne wyspiki. Idziemy coś zjeść teraz. Być może na przykład taką rybę zjemy. No, wysoka wieża. Dobra, idziemy. Jak tylko przyszliśmy zjeść, no to wiadomo, że musiał się przyplątać taki koleżka. Coś tam pewnie kapnie. Zanim wszystko zjemy, to tutaj mamy taki kurczak, proszę bardzo, i tuna. Kosztowało to po około 2000 franków chyba. Kolega nie daje za wygraną. Dopiero zaczęliśmy jeść. Poczekaj chwilę. No smaczne, smaczne. No, musimy sprawdzić jeszcze jakieś faktycznie tahitańskie jedzenie, bo kurczaka i tunę to można zjeść chyba wszędzie.
My name is not easy to live again. Each time Honolulu city light stir up memories in me. Each night, Honolulu city light bring me back again. And you are my island sunset. And you are my island dream. Bring me back again. Bring me back again. Che un essimo a lui, benvenuto al Rassemblement.